Hello everyone, welcome back. We are continuing our series with the Last Oasis Early Access gameplay. This continues directly from the previous video, and here we will demonstrate some basic farming. Hopefully you've taken the lessons in the previous video to heart about avoiding PvP, maintaining, situational awareness, planning, and just being careful. Here I'm approaching the Rupu village, and I'm keeping my head on a swivel, looking out behind me for signs of enemy sails, any walkers, any individuals running around. So these small villages you'll find scattered throughout the land in the basic areas. You find them in these valleys, generally speaking. They have a combination of Rupu levels. You have the basic ones, sometimes you have hermits and so on. Often when you pull up to one of these, you'll see other walkers, usually small fireflies, abandoned here. These can be from people who've logged out or have crashed, etc. So first thing I do when I'm approaching these, because my Mountain Blade style blocking skills are a little rusty, is I will park my firefly perpendicular to the camp. This allows me to use it to take advantage of the poor pathing on these mobs and stand behind it if I need to. So as you can see, the mobs do not advance. They're kind of stuck behind it. It gives you a bit of a barrier where you can rest up, use a bandage, etc. One thing to notice, they do sometimes throw these nets at your walkers. I've seen these nets travel pretty far, actually. It's kind of amazing. I'm removing it because I never know when I'm going to have to book out of here if somebody rolls up on me. So generally when fighting these, you want to take advantage of their back if you can, as per usual. And if you can't, use some well-timed blocks, maintain distance. There are some games, like Mountain Blade, also Chivalry, and Conqueror's Blade, which use this style of attack and defend with blocking, chamber locking, etc. And people with those skills are going to do very well in Last Oasis. As I said, my skills in that area are a little rusty, so sometimes I end up spamming a lot more than I should. But again, if you're careful, you maintain your respawns. When you die, when you get knocked out, you're on a timer where you can get back up. And if you die, you're on another timer where, and if you die again, you will be dead for good. So here I'm on the knockdown timer. Someone during this time can come and revive me. If there was an ally or a friendly player, they could walk up to me and revive me. Failing that, you'll auto-revive after that timer runs out, but then you're on a 180-second timer, and if you get knocked down during that time, you're actually dead, which would then require you to respawn. So you'll end up using water or one of your respawns on your walker if you have, or your campfire, etc. And you also will take damage on all of your equipment. So what I've actually taken to doing is I have I think it's 180. In any case, I take a stopwatch and I keep that going just to keep track of my time if I'm really careful, if I don't want to die in the middle of nowhere. Otherwise, you can just bandage up and be cautious when fighting. You also want to keep an eye on your surroundings when you're stationary for a period of time like this. One of the very effective tactics in any game like this is you roll up on somebody when they are fighting mobs and they are low health. That'll actually happen to me further on in this series, but in this case I was just being careful. Banking often is also a good idea, especially when you have fragments. Fragments are used to unlock skills, things in the tech tree, and in later higher level stuff you need large quantities of those fragments, so you kind of don't want to waste them. So anytime I find some fragments, I generally put them right away into my walker. So these camps are sources for different types of resources. Obviously, when you kill the individual Rupu, you will get, you know, basic things like fiber, wood, etc. You can also find that you will find in these camps these urns, which are clay pots that you can break. Inside the urns, you have things that you can loot as well. Sometimes you'll find fragments and weapons, tools, etc. Often you'll get something that you can't yet craft if you're going through early gameplay. And those are great to check. It'll elevate you a little bit without having to invest fragments in the tech tree yourself. One of the things you will notice is you have to manage your inventory, your weight. Your weight is capped at 100, and as you're looting, you can find yourself above that limit. You'll notice your character will begin panting. I'm not entirely sure what the effects of being overweight are. I suspect it would be increased stamina usage and so on, but I haven't actually examined that closely. So again, you will notice that the mobs often get stuck on assets in the game world. Of course, the access, the pathing is great. In this case, I could have taken advantage of that, but instead I breaking the urn that he is behind. Breaking it didn't stop the blocking of his path, but I actually looted it, which caused the asset to disappear. So it was kind of a mistake. Didn't really matter, but details. Right? So you'll notice that these different mobs, they have different behaviors. They have different weapons, of course. Some of them have larger hit point pools. Some of them do more damage per strike. You have to act accordingly. This one is using the same sword that I am, I believe. They don't always drop the weapon that they're using. It does happen on occasion, but not always. So again, I've gotten some fragments. I'm going to go right back to my walker and bank those. One thing you'll notice is that I have not unlocked the full capacity of this walker when it comes to the cargo or gear slots. Oh, I should mention how the gear slots work. So gear slots are things that in your walker that you can fill with gear items, weapons, tools, armor, etc. And when you respawn, it will auto-equip that gear. If you're in a fight, especially a group fight, being able to go directly from respawn into the fight geared up without having to sort through containers and storage is extremely helpful. The gear slots are increased by upgrading the hatch upgrade on your walker, which is accessible by storage and pressing E, accessing upgrades. These upgrades require quantities of raw materials, sometimes special materials that you don't normally come across that you might have to go out of your way to get. These upgrades really help quite a bit, especially when it comes to cargo, since you can, they're not entirely safe. You can still break into this cargo. You can still do that with certain, methods, but generally speaking, people, if they're solo especially, they will just kill you and loot your body. So if you have anything in your cargo on your walker, it's generally safe. Now, as I said, these camps are sources of different resources. You have three main things that you get from these camps. You have fragments, of course, which you find either in the urns, these little vases here that you see, or sometimes the mobs themselves drop them. You also have the Rupu Gel, which is acquired from that totem-like thing, which you probably saw earlier. You can get fragments from that as well. The gel is used for fire arrows and other things, and it's a pretty useful resource. And then, of course, you get the Rupu Vines, which you get on top of these structures. There's also some on top of the large boat-like structure. Whenever you're in one of these camps, make a point of going up to the top of that and looting that as well. The containers come in different qualities. This is a large urn, the upgraded version of the smaller ones you saw on the ground. This can contain more items and items of a higher tech tree. Here you'll see, I believe, I picked up, Yes, so I picked up some stuff that I didn't otherwise have access to, and that's always useful. One thing you have to keep in mind is when you're inside these small huts or the boats, etc., of course your view outside is obscured. You have to really pay attention, listening for signs of the incoming walkers. You know, the walkers make a decent amount of noise. You want to pay attention to that. Another thing to keep in mind is when you're inside the taller structures or on top of them, when you jump down or grapple down, be mindful of the distance between yourself and the ground, because if you hit the ground too hard, you will take damage. You can avoid this by either just lowering yourself down slowly, using the E and Q keys to do that, or you can jump down and grapple, and as you fall, reel yourself in, and you will hit the ground softly, like I did there. It takes a little practice. You know, the grappling is a huge part of the game, especially in group fights when you're going from ship to ship. You gain momentum, you can escape and heal up, which is a very important detail. The combat in Last Oasis is pretty complex. It takes a little bit of getting used to, but once you do, it's quite fun. One thing to note is those effigies in the middle there, the totem-looking thing that spawned the Rupu Gel, that is on a timer which appears to be shorter than the mob timer. So if you're farming that specifically and you've got other things to do, you can actually sit near a camp, wait for it to respawn, and loot it again. So as you can see here, I am running out of storage space. I have not updated or upgraded my walker very much in that regard, and that's something we will look at in the next video. We have the hard oases unlocking very soon, should be today. That's going to be a lot of fun. Hope you guys are enjoying the game. Thanks for watching, and I will talk to you next time.